Hello, beautiful friends. It is Monday, July 1st, United States of America and Canada. This is being recorded. It's a bit later in the day. We'll call it afternoon, and this is What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Use promo code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. My name is DJ Bean. Peter Blackburn is remote. Sean DePaz is remote because all three of us are remote. We are heartbroken to say that we did not do a big, long live stream show that, if I had my druthers, would have been like 8 days long for free agency. Would have been way too long. We would have had way too much time on our hands. We would have had all sorts of fun. We would have painted stuff. We would have had guests. But all three of us got sick on the big old road trip that was Florida to Vegas. I personally, as an American, blame Florida. I think it probably happened there. But at least two of us have COVID. One of us so severely that, without naming names, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. But that's what this is. We're doing a free agency episode now. Hi, Pete. How you feeling?
Hello. I feel better now than I did this morning. Probably the best I felt today. You texted yesterday. I honestly didn't think that COVID still existed, and that's not to say I don't believe in COVID or whatever, but I haven't thought about it in forever. And when we were on the trip and you were sick, I got back yesterday. I was about to go to Ellen's parents' house. Nice little celebration over there. Was on the way out the door. Then I get the text uh-oh, bad news. Got COVID. And that was the first that I'd ever thought of COVID in a long time. And so I tested, and I also have COVID. No big surprise there. We shared a hotel room. I didn't feel sick, though, until this morning, and it hit me pretty hard this morning. Feel fine now, although I can kind of hear it back in my ears that I sound congested and nasally, so apologies.
I too was overlooking the existence of COVID in 2024. However, we were in Florida, so should not have ruled anything out. Really, when we got back late Saturday night, I was parked at the studio, so I drove home and I stopped at the grocery store and just got all sorts of stuff because I was feeling like hell. I got a bunch of Pedialyte, bunch of medicine, NyQuil, all that shit, and I saw a COVID test there, and the only reason I grabbed it is because, in addition to all of the horrible things that happened to us on this very fun and productive trip, I also had missed the birth of my beautiful niece, and I was like, even if I'm better in a couple of days, I want to make sure that, famously, babies don't have immune systems at all. Mm-hmm. So I was like, make sure I don't actually have anything here. Got the COVID test, didn't even take it until the next day, and I can't believe I didn't take a picture of it. It was, you think the stripe on the Kings New Jersey is thick? The stripe on my COVID test was the most resounding "you have COVID" stripe I've ever seen in my life. It took over. It was bleeding out of the whole fucking thing, but it was still really strong and crisp. It was a convincing "you have COVID" stripe. I was very mad.
You blame Florida. I blame the Excalibur in Las Vegas, which is where we stayed. Not to hotel shame.
Episode, please,
that place stinks. Absolute time relic. Half the outlets in our hotel room didn't work. That place and its clientele absolutely shady as fuck. I'm blaming Excalibur. You can blame Florida. I think both have a very strong case as to being the reason why we have COVID.
Co-defendants.
That's right.
Sean, do you have anything to say?
It obviously was not Excalibur because we both mentioned that we might have felt sick coming off of the plane in from Florida. So it was. I'm blaming South Florida.
Plus,
Blaming
you're an Excalibur head, Sean.
I am. I'm a fan of the Excalibur. I'm sorry, I'm not as bougie as y'all, specifically Pete, but I do love that place.
Pete does shame a little bit. He class shames.
Listen, I've reached a point in my life where I don't feel like I need to say the Excalibur anymore.
You've grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle.
Exactly. I have.
You still want to share a hotel room with me every time, but you would just like it to be in a nicer hotel.
Exactly, 1000%.
That should be our deal. No matter what happens, we always, just for the sake of like staying lean and scrappy, and to make sure that like everyone keeps their eyes on the prize when we're on the road, DJ and Pete are bunking.
Also, like, not to mention, I said this in Vegas. If I'm staying in a shitty hotel room, I don't want to stay in a shitty hotel room by myself. I want to, like, misery loves company. Give me somebody else bunking up with to be like, yo, why don't these outlets fucking work?
Yeah, we also, not to tell tales out of school, we also tap into family FaceTimes. If you're on a FaceTime with family, I'm allowed to jump in there. If I'm on a FaceTime with family, you're allowed to jump in there. It's not rude if either of us do it. I hope it's not rude if either of us do it, because I certainly do it with you, but you jump on there with me.
Yeah, you like more invite me in. Jump in mine.
I think I invite you in to be like, it's acceptable for both of us to crash each other's FaceTimes. Someone's
Sean has never been involved in a family FaceTime yet. That's why Sean gets his own room so that he can just exclude himself from all FaceTimes.
Oh my God, the jokes we were making about Sean having his own hotel room, you can guess. Okay? You can guess. It's that one meme is the joke. Okay? Do you think people know what meme we're talking about?
No, they don't.
I bet some people do. All right, free agency day one. A lot of moving and shaking. It's kind of crazy that we weren't on the... by the way, we're going to be hammering the mute button as often as we can because both of us are dying. But this was a tough one to not be doing a stream for. Especially when we were sick. We would have been yelling a lot and we would have... so many things happened. And even leading back to the last couple of days. So I'll just give a quick summary, even though I think that anybody who listens to this podcast maybe has a general idea of what's gone down. But the Lightning cleared a bunch of cap space. They traded Mikhail Sergachev to Utah, traded for and signed Jake Guentzel, lost Steven Stamkos. The Predators signed Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea. Sam Reinhart went back to Florida. Patrick Kane went back to the Red Wings. The Bruins signed Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. The Maple Leafs re-signed Max Domi and gave kind of substantial deals to Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Jake DeBrusk went to Vancouver on a 7-year deal at $5.5 million per. The Blackhawks signed Tyler Bertuzzi, very interesting, and Teuvo Teravainen. Remember that guy used to play for them. And then the other big one, even though there's still more moves, was I thought it was interesting. The Devils signed UNH legend Brett Pesce. So I just want to ask off the top, what do you think is the biggest story of free agency and all these moves so far?
I mean, it's got to be.
There's a correct answer.
It's got to be the Lightning and just how much they're kind of shifting deck chairs a little bit and essentially kicking Steven Stamkos to the curb. Like, I think it's a 1A, 1B situation most interesting. 1A being Tampa and 1B being Nashville. Why? Would you say anywhere else?
Pete, I was wearing my Get Up producer hat, and I want to say, like, if you're structuring this show, if we're doing Get Up and it's hockey, what do we open the show with? You knocked it out of the park. The Lightning let Steven Stamkos walk, and they bring in Jake Guentzel, and they make all these changes, and they shed Sergachev so they can A, sign Guentzel, and B, extend Victor Hedman at some point. But the biggest thing that I can't stop going back to is they let Steven Stamkos walk, really so they could sign Jake Guentzel. I would rather Steven Stamkos, I think, get 4 times $8 million than Jake Guentzel at the 7 years times $9 million they gave him. I don't know if they think that they're just like done with this run and that they're going to be relevant again in like 3 years instead of next year, but I think it'd still be really competitive just with the defense they have, the goaltending, and now they're turning into a team that's kind of built around wings. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach, and I don't know if I love it. I think that Gensel, obviously younger, has proven, I think, in Carolina that he's not dependent on who's centering him. Even if he were, he's going to have some pretty good centers playing in Tampa. So, like, he's going to be a good player down there. But it's more to me like the disrespect or the just kind of like the ballsiness of it all to push Steven Stamkos out the door for Jake Guentzel, who I mean, I wouldn't feel extremely confident paying Jake Guentzel $9 million a year. I don't know if he's that kind of player. I think he's a really, really good player. But if I'm overpaying one of those guys, I'm probably more likely to do it with Steven Stamkos, especially in Tampa.
Yeah, can I ask a question to my folks in Tampa? Where's the reverence? Where's the reverence for your captain? Where's the reverence for not only your captain, but like one of the best hockey players ever who's still absolutely, and I believe 34 years old, rocks the house? You're paying him? You could pay, I mean, Gensel's going to be paid. How old is Guentzel? Let's see. 29, I think. Yeah. So you're paying Guentzel till 36, but you wouldn't pay Steven Stamkos, who plays a more important position. I know he moves around, but he could be your second line center. For till age 38. Weird. Just a little not great behavior. I think. I think I want to see a little more reverence for my captain. You know what? It kind of is like. Remember when the Bruins tried to sign John Tavares and they were going to do something with David Krejci, and you're like, man, David Krejci's kind of a hard luck loser there, but you totally understand it because they're trying to sign a better player. And David Krejci, for as much of a legend as he is in Boston, isn't like the best Bruin ever. So to do this for a wing, and I like Jake Guentzel so much. I was so happy for him that he proved what a great player he is away from Pittsburgh and away from Crosby, but I don't like the move. I don't like the behavior out of Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a really weird situation that I didn't see coming down, especially too, like trading Sergachev is a big deal there too.
That was my
Like
next point.
Sergachev was supposed to be the force on their blue line, assuming like whenever Hedman exits the picture. Now we're talking about a Hedman extension. Sergachev's out the door. You're essentially swapping. And I know this is a very simplified version of it, but you're essentially swapping Stamkos and Sergachev for Jake Guentzel, and I don't think you're a better team for that.
No, I you know my theory on building teams. Like collecting a bunch of wings is a very it's a risky game. And obviously you've got an absolute stud of a first line center in Braden Point, and Anthony Cirelli will be fine as a second line center. But boy, oh boy, I'd like that team so much better next year if you brought back Stamkos.
Also, on the Sergachev thing, like you talking about, you want some more reverence for Steven Stamkos. How about a little bit more reverence for Mikhail Sergachev, who came back early from like shattering his leg for a second time in a year. Came back early, basically, I would assume was on a truckload of drugs in order to get himself back into that playoff series. And then you reward him by fucking trading him to Utah at the first chance you get. Like, I don't know. It's hard not to come away from like that whole scenario being like, they weren't great to their guys.
Yeah, for any NBA listeners out there, it's a little Danny Ainge. It's a little Danny Ainge kind of behavior where it's like, probably shouldn't do it, but I can. So whatever, let's do it. How much better do you think the Predators got? Because they get Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault at 5 times $5.5 million. And then Brady Shea on. Look, I love Brady Shea. What's going on with that? 7 times $7 million is a little weird for me, but they get 3 real players a year after being a wild card team, but like kind of like I would say better than a wild card team.
Yeah, like just a bridge year that turned into a little bit more than a bridge year.
Yeah.
And I think they're much better. Like I thought they were not good on paper last year. Now they're going to be pretty good on paper. And you also have to mention the fact that they got a 2nd-round pick when they traded Ryan McDonough to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh yeah.
So like, not only did they clear that, and it was like part of a bigger package, they had to trade a 4th-round pick and stuff too. So, but you got a 2nd-round pick while clearing McDonough's cap hit. You end up turning that into Stamkos, Marchessault, and Brady Shea. And I agree with you. I don't love the Brady Shea number. I think that's overpriced for that player. But on paper, especially their forward group is going to be pretty good next year. And you get 2 certified winners in Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault, leaders. And I think that team could use a bit more leadership. And like you're now talking about a team like has Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Philip Forsberg, and then like some of the younger guys there, Roman Josi too, as on the veteran side. Like that's a real solid group. I don't love their blue line. That's a real solid group.
You know what the Predators are kind of becoming?
Oh,
the Bruins.
That's
Just
not
like
a bad way to compare them.
Some old guys who have won, some good defensemen, and an awesome goalie. And yeah, ultimately, are they deep enough to do the whole thing? No. But a lot of players you like on that roster.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna be a tough team. Like they're gonna be tough to play against. I think that they were already tough to play against with a worse team last year. I don't know how to feel about the UC Saros contract extension. Feels very unnecessary for a team. You don't like it?
I know how to feel about it. I know how to feel bad.
Yeah, I don't feel bad. I just don't know if it's necessary, and I don't know if that's where their dollars are best allocated, especially with Yaroslav Askarov. Like it depends how that situation shakes out. Like maybe they get something for him and they add it to this current group, which they're building out. And this is a real expedited rebuild for the Nashville Predators. So you feel good if you're if you're a Predators fan and see what they did. But man, like they got a lot. This is incredible work by Barry Trotz, who is very, very new to that job in the front office. To turn that team around as quickly as he did, nice bit of work.
I know that Jonathan Marchessault was the apple of Sean's eye for the Buffalo Sabres. They instead directed their attention to not really doing anything. Sean, how do you feel about your Sabres offseason?
I mean, not great about it. It doesn't necessarily move the needle. I've seen a lot of quotes from Kevin Adams that essentially there's just a belief that the guys that underperformed last year will perform better under Lindy Ruff, and that'll be enough. So we'll see, I guess. But I don't like the fact that they didn't do anything to the top 6.
Well, they did buy out Jeff Skinner, and I'm going to be monitoring Twitter every 5 seconds because he's been linked to the Oilers. I don't really see that happening.
I would love it.
I would love it. It would, but would you repeat?
Yes.
Then
the answer is yes.
Then we would for sure. I mean, every year we're doing Oilers. Like that's what's happening on the show. We're doing Oilers every year. But do you really think it's safe to do a year where both of us are like equally obsessed with the Oilers? Because they would surpass their chaos would make you love them for chaotic purposes, maybe even more than I love them for Oilers purposes.
Oh, I said if the Oilers sign Jeff Skinner, I am becoming the biggest oil man on the podcast. That's just what it is. I already signed up. No matter where Jeff Skinner goes, that's where I go. that is going to be the team that I root for. I'll tell you what, like I feel like I'm kind of I don't know. I don't want to say I'm out on the Sabres, but I'm very disappointed in the Sabres. Like Jason Zucker doesn't do it for me at all. I, I don't think that you can just rely on, well, we're gonna correct the things that sucked last year by not doing anything. They needed adults in the room. They've needed adults in the room for a long time. And Jason Zucker's not that for me. And Lindy Ruff, I don't like enough to be the difference there. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm really disappointed in what Buffalo has done or not done to this point.
Well, we've got plenty of more signings to discuss, and we'll talk about the Bruins in just a minute. But before we hit Nadreed, I'd like to shout out our Columbus Blue Jackets. I like Sean Monahan there.
I like Sean Monahan. I think
Nice
he's a
little
good
bit of
fit
work. Then it's two kind of under the radar star player signings, I would say, are Sean Monahan to the Blue Jackets and Tyler Tofolli to the Sharks. Nice little bit of work there for the Sharks, because between the Sharks and the Blackhawks, they're both in a position where it's like, yeah, you're clearly rebuilding, but you need guys. And Tyler Tofolli on Macklin Celebrini's wing, if that's where he ends up being. It's a nice player to have there. It's a nice veteran to have there. I like both those moves.
Yeah, I'm interested about Tyler Tofolli because he was not good in Winnipeg. Did not finish that season out strong. Maybe it was Winnipeg. Maybe just I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Tofolli seemed to really enjoy his time in LA, obviously, and so maybe being back in California, he's excited about that. We'll see. What was the other? Sean Monahan to Columbus, I really like. Although I would like to see Columbus get guys that are not like quiet and polite and like
They're never
fitting
going to
into
do that,
Sean
though.
Monahan's
Just get
fold.
that out of your head. Get that. I agree with you, but they're never going to do that. It's
Like
just not
Sean
gonna happen.
Monahan has Columbus written all over him, which is why I like and don't like the signing at the same time. I like it more than I don't like it, but I wish that there was something else to pair with it to be like, oh, okay, they're not just signing like the quiet, polite guys.
You know who I would have liked for them? Again, we're going to talk Bruins in a second. Nikita Zadorov would have been awesome for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, but he's gonna be fucking awesome for the Bruins. I'm very excited that the Bruins got him.
Okay, let me hit a Prize Picks read before I die. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You know that we love them when we are DFSing. And Sean, I was sick, but I was DFSing yesterday. Did you watch that that Mercury Fever game? I think I texted. Oh my God, what a fourth quarter. Huge win by Indiana. Their first win against a 500 team. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston just doing the damn thing. I was prize pixing, DFSing. Won't say whether or not I was successful because really, I think of prize picks as just the glass of wine with the meal that is watching a great sporting event. And I had a great time DFSing and watching a great Indiana Fever win. Shout out the Mercury as well, though. Diana Taurasi is just ageless. Still an absolute beast.
She's still playing?
Yes.
What?
She's the greatest of all time.
What?
Dude.
Not even.
It was only Diana Taurasi still playing professional basketball?
She's going to be on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
She's the GOAT.
What is she, like 50 years old? I know.
41.
Damn. Wow.
It's still really good.
Shout out to Ellen, by the way, for getting me a Cameron Brink t-shirt, like graphic t-shirt for my birthday. Fucking incredible.
Really cool. Really cool. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100x your cash. Yeah, for some reason, I'm usually just hammering hockey and WNBA with it. Now that hockey's done, I need a new sport. I still got WNBA, but I don't know. Baseball, you want to be a little more interesting? Maybe I'll jump in there because Lord knows I'm going to be using Prize Picks. I have no idea why we waited so long to get into it, but once we got into it, Pete and I were hooked. Download the app today. Use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. Fellas, do you want your grooming routine to be a one-and-done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped, please don't do that. Please don't shave your face with something after you shave your pubes with it. That is disgusting. That is terrible behavior. A- behavior. Don't do it. Our friends
And
at
you know what?
Manscaped.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows. You just have an aura about you if you do that. Everyone knows.
Your face smells like your balls. Your balls smell like your face.
Your
Don't
balls are not
do
supposed
it.
to smell like your face.
I'd rather my balls smell like my face than my face smells like my balls.
Let me tell you,
especially during the summer.
Your sexual partners will turn away when they find the nice scent of your face in that kind of region. They're going to say, forget it. No way.
That's right.
No way, Jose.
Manscaped has come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6. Introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, a trimmer for the moneymaker and another for the boys downstairs. You know we love the Lawnmower 5.0, but we all also now love the Beard Hedger. DJ has the Beard Hedger. They sent him for the trade deadline stream, and he uses it. That beard looks quite nice. So now you can get them bundled up together for what's it called? The Beard and Balls Bundle. You may as well do that. Get both. Go get 20% off and free shipping with the code WhatChaos at manscaped.com. That is 20% off and free shipping with the code WhatChaos at manscaped.com. For the premium grooming experience, trust Manscaped.
Here's a question. Do I load a season 2 look?
I was thinking about like season two looks.
Yeah.
Whether it was the set, whether it's the graphics.
No, it's how
like
it's got to be
package.
how we look. It's got to be how we each look. Sean's gonna change his hair every day. We know that.
I mean,
he's got a mustache. He's got a rat tail. He's got the mohawk. That's just Sean.
I don't think you can like consciously make a season 2 decision though. I feel like anytime that happens, it seems forced. Like I feel like it has to be a natural progression. Your season 2 look will probably be something different, but it'll happen. Clean shaven. But it'll happen during season 2. You can't show up for the first episode of season 2. I remember I always watch TV shows, and when somebody shows up looking differently and there's no continuity, jarring. It's like, oh God, what is this? And it takes a little bit to get used to.
This is the probably the easiest example is like Matthew Perry, depending on his health, they'd have like a cliffhanger at the end of a season, then they'd come back and you would look completely different. You're like, damn, brother. I don't know. I might
just be healthy.
I might load a season 2 look.
Just be healthy, and give it time to take its natural course.
I don't know. I'll think about it. All I know is I'm going to load at some point a look will be loading.
You're using the word load too much. You've already hit your maximum load capacity here.
Okay. Bruins go out and spend a bunch of money. They get Elias Lindholm, who had been rumored, and I was guaranteed. Like straight up being told and guaranteed during the playoffs. Like, no. Like, he is going there. This is happening. This is done. Day one. Book it. They sign him 7 years at $7.75 million a year. And they also sign Nikita Zadorov for 6 years at $5 million a year with no rights. Does the Lindholm contract have any rights? Do we know? Probably, I would assume, but I'll look that up right now.
I'm not totally sure, but
what do you think of?
I like them both. I like the signings for both of them. I will say, like, the numbers scare me a bit. The Lindholm deal, like let's be honest, they're both gambles. They're pretty significant contracts, and they are a product, I think, especially Lindholm, of desperation. Like the Bruins just needed a top six center. It's that position is extremely hard to come by, and if you've got an opportunity to secure one who wants to come here, I think you got to do it, and you can't just say we'll figure something out later down the line, because the Bruins are just not going to win without centers. And so maybe it's an overpay. I've seen a lot of people saying, he's a poor man's Charlie Coyle, or he's a Charlie Coyle comparable. I don't think that that's true.
I think he's better than Charlie Coyle.
I think Elias Lindholm is better than Charlie Coyle, both offensively and defensively. Like, he was a Selke runner-up a few years ago. He scored 40 goals. Do I think that he's a 40-goal guy? No, but if you put him with the right teammates, I think that he can produce. And he's certainly a top six center. I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be a good fit here. And most importantly, they needed him. So yeah, I mean, I like the ad. And again, it's a gamble, but it's one that's worth making.
The question is, like, is he? I agree, he's not a 42-point guy, and in that 2021-22 season,
goal guy, he's a 42-point guy. You better.
I'm sorry, 42 goal guy, and in that 2021-22 season, he had 82 points. I don't think he's a point a game guy. I don't think he's a 42 goal guy, but is he, let's say, what he was 2 seasons ago, a 64-point guy? I think that he's that, and that's fine. That's honestly what David Krejci was at points in his career. So is he a star player? Is he like a slam dunk first line center? I don't view him as a first line center, but I also have not viewed any of the guys playing center for the Bruins last year as a first line center. And this lets them move Pavel Zacha to wing, which is, I think, what they said they're going to do. They're not going to go out and sign a wing now. They lose Jake DeBrusk. They'll move Pavel Zacha to wing. First line center will be Elias Lindholm. Second line center will be Charlie Coyle. Is that great? No. Is that representative of an NHL top six? I think kind of. And
yeah,
you said the word desperation. That is where they were. They were very desperate at center.
And if you find yourself in a position down the road 3 or 4 years where Lindholm is your second line center, or like, God forbid, your third line center, and you've got better guys in front of him, like, that's a good position to be in if you're the Bruins. Like, yeah, it's I don't think the number is prohibitive for him being your like second line center. Like, God forbid they find a way to get Draisaitl. I don't think it happens.
That's over. That's over. That was never happening, but that's over now.
Yes, but no, I'm saying like next year or something. Like, whatever. If you ever come into a center that is like your bona fide number one center, and you're paying Elias Lindholm like almost $8 million to be your second line center, that's fine. That's like what you were doing with David Krejci. So, like, I think this is fine, and I get why some Bruins fans are uneasy about it, freaking out about it a little bit. But you have to feel better about this contract after you see what the Seattle Kraken gave Chandler Stevenson, right? Like an hour later. Jesus. The Chandler Stevenson deal is crazy. So
I generally don't even know what the Kraken are doing at all.
I think that the Kraken legitimately had, if not the two worst deals of the day, two of the worst deals of the day, with Brandon Montour and Chandler Stevenson. I like both those players. Fucking hate to be put in that position to be like, yo, Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour, now you have to criticize the hell out of them because they're getting paid so much. I don't like those deals. But for the Bruins, yeah, like, Bruins fans would have freaked out if they did nothing and didn't address the center position. My question is, what else did you want them to do? Like, who else were you going to go get? Elias Lindholm is probably the best center that you could have gotten to fill the needs that you have for this team. And I think that Nikita Zadorov is an awesome fit for this team to provide size, to provide snarl, which are two things that I think that they really, really wanted on their back end. Like you can't no longer complain about Charlie McAvoy being too soft, Hampus Lindholm being too soft. Like their blue line has some bite to it now with Nikita Zadorov, who I really, really liked this past year, both in Calgary and in Vancouver.
Well, I can give you another option at center. Would you have rather them do 7x7-5 on Lindholm or 4x8 on Stamkos?
So, like the Stamkos thing definitely intrigues me, and I wouldn't have been mad if they gave him that for sure. I think that Lindholm fits the way that the Bruins play a bit more than Steven Stamkos does.
Definitely, and I think that Steven Stamkos is taking that contract with the Predators before he's taking it from the Bruins because I think the money's more. It's just income tax wise, I could be wrong. Sean probably knows that
Very
off the
true.
top of his head, but I believe
Correct.
that Tennessee is nicer on the old taxes. So that's good for him. The Zadorov thing, I like. I think it's 2 years too many just because who knows? But whatever. $5 million isn't the end of the world. And this isn't a team that has an albatross contract on its books. Like certain teams, like one we discuss a lot, can't give out bad contracts because they already have one where a guy is being paid like way too much. Bruins don't really have that. So if you extend yourself an extra couple of years or an extra $1 million or so, it probably won't bite you. I go back to your question before of like, what else would you expect the Bruins to do? I thought they did the best with the situation they could. They supposedly haven't made any progress on Jeremy Swayman, which, again, round 2 of where's the reverence? Like, they just hate that guy. They're always so rude to him. But get him signed. They've got the money to do it. And I think they're a better team next year than they were this year. No?
Oh yeah.
DeBrusk out, Olmark out, and these guys in?
By the way, the DeBrusk deal wouldn't have given him that either. Like I think Vancouver's gonna hate that deal.
That's the exact deal I would have sought if I were Jake DeBrusk, and the exact deal I would not have given Jake DeBrusk.
7 by 5.5 is I think that they're gonna hate him by the end of that deal.
Long term, low AAV. That's what I always thought would make the most sense for Jake DeBrusk, and I think that that's a little buyer bewary. But also, I thought that Zadorov and Joshua were high on my buyer beware list entering this postseason, and I think that ultimately, $30 million is that what it is for Zadorov? Not the end of the world, especially when like Bruins fans are going to be just absolutely jorking it to that guy. They're going to love him so much, and I thank him. Nikita, I thank you for saying, please don't refer to me as Big Z, because fucking Bruins fans would have. They would have been like, we like this guy more than Chara because he hits more.
They wouldn't have. Come on.
Yeah, they would have.
Oh, no, they wouldn't.
Bruins fans would occasionally get mad at Zdeno Chara for not killing people.
Yeah, but Bruins fans love Zdeno Chara. Don't pretend like they don't love Zdeno Chara.
They didn't respect him enough.
I'm very glad that he came out and immediately said it and cleared the air and said, "Do not ever call me Big Z ever again." He made sure to say it before anybody else had to bring it up. So I just don't put that on Bruins fans. They would not have thrown Chara under the bus for the sake of Zadorov. But I do agree.
Mike from Ubern thinks that Nikita Zadorov is better than Chara ever was. I can guarantee you that. I'm going to call him on the phone right now, and he's going to say, "Oh yeah,
oh
yeah, brother."
Mike Zadorov is not that dumb. I bet he loves Zadorov. I love Zadorov, and I think the Bruins fans are.
I do too.
Zadorov. So
Bruins also trade Jacob Lauko, which is a real heartbreaker because he's a great, fun guy, but it always seemed like that was going to end. He goes to Minnesota. Bummer.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. I was worried that they were going to trade him at the trade deadline. I'm mainly mad because the deal sucks. Vinny Lettieri and then like nothing, like a soft swap in terms of draft picks. So it's a useless deal. I don't like getting rid of Lauko. Beyond personal, like I like Lauko personally. I don't like getting rid of what he brings to that lineup because he's like their fastest guy. He's a kamikaze in terms of a forechecker. Yeah, is he a bit of a an unpredictable shithead in terms of both on and off the ice? Absolutely. But I
Fine
love
by
him
me.
for it. I love him for it. So I really didn't like that deal.
Another team I'd like to discuss is the Carolina Hurricanes, because they lose Jake Guentzel and two really good defensemen in Brady Shea and Brett Pesce, but they circle back and they sign Shane Gostisbehere and Sean Walker. Is that a nice recovery?
I think so. I do. I like both those guys. And both those guys, well, Goss Spare already was in Carolina. It's good. Sean Walker, I think, fits the mold of what Carolina does very well.
Yeah, I think that I do like Walker for them. I wanted them to keep Guentzel.
I did too. I think it's a net loss, obviously, when you're looking at Carolina. They did resign Jordan Martinook, which I don't know how much that does, but he's like a heart and soul guy for that team. I think the Hurricanes are worse off today than they were yesterday.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's I don't know. I'm not excited about what happened with them, but I do think that they did an okay job offsetting on the blue line.
Yeah. How do you shoot?
I would like to see. I'd like to see Carolina do something in net. Like, what's the goaltending situation? Just running it back.
I know. They also lose Teravainen. That's what I meant to bring up. So yeah, just not great times in Carolina, but I still think they'll end up being like one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference next season. Goalie is going to sink them as it always does, but that's just the experience with the Carolina Hurricanes. I need to shout out the Detroit Red Wings because they're cool as hell. Yes, they re-sign Patrick Kane, but more importantly, they sign both Cam Talbot and Jack Campbell. That's sick, man.
Is it? I mean, they've got the ultimate quartet of, well, this guy was good once, so let's fucking see what happens in net. Like, they've got Billy Husso, Cam Talbot, Alex Lyon, and Jack Campbell. Holy fuck, they're taking some chances there.
Respect to Jack Campbell for getting a new job. How is Jack Campbell a July 1 signing?
Because he signed for $775. Like,
I think he could have done that.
Literally couldn't have taken less money.
I think he could have done that Thursday, I believe.
Yeah, but why wait?
But when that deal's there for the taking, gotta jump on it. Old friend Warren Fogle going to the Kings on a 3-year deal that kind of confused me, but what do I know?
Both Kings deals today confused me. Joel Edmondson and Warren Fogle, not like big contracts. I think both of them 3 years. Was it 3 years, $3 million? 3 years, $3.5 million for Fogle. 4 years, 3.85 for Joel Edmondson. Both of those are like fine, okay players. I don't think that you need to make those commitments. I
don't understand how Warren Fogle gets a raise. He was making $275 last year, which was okay, I guess. I don't understand how he gets a raise on a 3-year deal, but I don't know. Maybe Rob Blake knows something that we don't.
I don't know. The Kings don't excite me anymore. I'll tell you that. I think they had some excitement, then they got rid of PLD, and now I'm like, all right, I'm out on the Kings.
Well, let's not forget about the Capitals because I want to discuss that. I know it's a couple days old, but like they are just collecting castoffs, and I positively love that for them. They got Dubois, Mangiapane, Logan Thompson, Jacob Chikrin they add today. I'm loving them getting all the guys that are basically who would want that guy?
Yeah, I mean, they are the island of misfit toys. They are piecing together, like they are the scrapyard car they're trying to build in order to keep Alex Ovechkin's career alive and get him to the finish line of this goals chase. They're going to be fascinating to watch. They really are. They're going to be so fascinating. The Chikrin deal, I think, is the final nail in the coffin of like, okay, nobody really likes this guy. Like, he's a good player, but like people were underwhelmed at the return that he got from Arizona. And now the Nick Jensen and a pick going to Ottawa, like a year and a half later to send him to Washington. Like, he's just one of those guys where you've often said this about Taylor Hall, where you're like, teams don't like Taylor Hall as much as everybody else seems to, or like how much you think that Taylor Hall should be liked. That's the new Jacob Chikrin. Like, that's just keeps happening to him.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was going to bring up that line of thinking. That's exactly where Jacob Chikrin is. Every time he gets moved, or every time we think he's going to get moved, there's always a lot of, why just for that? And for some reason, they don't like him like you do. So there's that. Do we want to do a little Vegas recap? We're going to have a normal episode tomorrow, I think, right? Provided we can all breathe.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's still like a few, I don't know. There's a few things that I think we may have not touched on.
You want to talk Sam Carrick and Riley Smith and
I don't. I mean, I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed that the Blackhawks didn't make more of a splash. Like, they got Tyler Bertuzzi, they got Teuvo Teravainen, but they had all this money, and we were hoping that they would put together like a real kind of supporting cast for year 2 with Connor Bedard. And like, Bertuzzi is a nice ad. I just like, Teravainen's a nice ad. They're going to have an NHL team, but I'm not excited about anything that they did particularly today.
You know me, I've always been a Bertuzzi fearing man. Love the player, terrified to sign the player. I think his contract isn't bad. Was it 4 times 5.5, something like that?
Correct.
Yeah, they can do that. That's not a problem at all, and not a terrible player to have in your top 6 as you're trying to figure out what you're going to be. When he's on, obviously, he's a Mack truck. So that I think that he and Foligno, who know each other from Boston, should hopefully have some sort of synergy in terms of like tough customer / leadership. I don't know that I've ever really considered him a leader, but I think that he could make a good impact on that group. I know a lot of power forwards, people think like, oh, they hit hard, therefore they're going to be like good leaders, and that's not always the case. But I think that Bertuzzi's style of play can hopefully make a positive impact on all those young guys there. Teravainen, it's just more skill and like veteran skill on a team that doesn't really have like a lot of veteran anything. So I don't mind the moves. I know that you wanted them to, and I did too. I wanted them to get like a star player, but who would that have been? Would it have been Reinhart?
Stamkos, Reinhart, yeah, one of those two. Those both would have excited me. You said they don't have any veteran anything. Can't say that anymore. They signed fucking Pat Maroon. They signed Pat Maroon today. Unbelievable.
Silly, but cool.
That's crazy.
Cool. I don't hate
it. I mean, I'm glad he got a job. He wants to keep playing. So I'm excited for him. I don't know what the fuck he does for the Blackhawks though. I'll say that.
Vibes.
They've got those guys though. Like, they've got Nick Foligno. Like, I don't know what Pat Maroon does for them.
The 2 names out there still remaining, and there's a bunch of names, but the ones that interest me are Skinner. And where does Adam Henrique go? Have we seen anything on him?
No, he's been really, really quiet on Henrique. So,
you know what I wouldn't hate for Adam Henrique?
Go on.
Go back. Go home.
The Edmonton Oilers or the Anaheim Ducks?
Go to the Ducks. Oh, I'd love him on the Oilers. I just don't know if that's in the cards. I think that he'd probably be outpriced, but I'd like him back on the Ducks.
What about New Jersey? Go back even further.
Keep going back.
Adam Henrique is one of those guys that could play like on any team because he's versatile. He does a lot of things right. He's a veteran. Like, trying to predict a fit for that guy is impossible because he could fit anywhere. I did want to talk about the Maple Leafs a little bit because they were busy in a weird
right.
day.
Yeah. I don't like what they did on the back end.
They got their guy with Chris Tanev. They wanted Chris Tanev forever, but they had to commit 6 years and $5.4 million annually. That is a wild, wild gamble for a guy as old as Chris Tanev.
Yeah, I did not like what they did on the back end. They sign him and they sign Oliver Ekman-Larsson to like real ass contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like the Elias, but I'll tell you what, my guess is it doesn't continue in Toronto.
Sorry, I was dyslexic. Tanev is 4.5, not 5.4
You're
for
right.
6 years. So
Okay.
that's still 6 years for Chris Tanev, who is 34 years old right now. That contract could age horribly.
I think that both those contracts are bad.
I think might be right.
I think that people are going to be like wanting OEL scratched in his second season with the team. That's my not hot take at all. That's just like very logical. Could happen.
I think the Max Domi signing is very good though.
Fine, I like it. I would do it.
4 years, 3.75 million. That is a solid cap hit for Max Domi, and he was a useful player for them, especially during the playoffs this year. So,
yeah. All right, let's bring it home with a little Sphere recap. How'd you like the Sphere?
I thought the Sphere was incredible. Like for all the hype going into the Sphere, I thought it was unbelievable. A technological achievement, a wonder of humanity. Had a lot of people like responding to me on Twitter being like, this bro's never been to IMAX. I've fucking been to IMAX. The Sphere is not IMAX.
You sure about that?
The Sphere is not IMAX. The only thing that I came away with was like, yeah, the NHL draft was incredible at the Sphere, and they should have it at the Sphere every single year. They absolutely can't afford to, but if they could, it'd be amazing. I want to go to the Sphere to see something cooler than the NHL draft. That was my big takeaway.
That's the thing. Like if the NHL draft, and God bless the NHL draft, God bless the Sphere. If the NHL draft is my Sphere experience, I'll tell you what, like I was not blown away. Granted, I was also dying. I for sure had to have had a fever or something. I kept asking you if it was cold in there, and you were like, it is absolutely not. And I was like, I'm fucking freezing. Well, I like couldn't see. I introduced myself to one of our friends who we had seen the day before. He was wearing glasses. I said, have we met? And I put my hand out. It was the fucking worst.
So he laughed at you.
He thought I was
ridiculous. I know. Yeah. That's how ridiculous it was that we had spent like an hour with him the day before.
And I did not have it at all. I was so fucking dead. But was not blown away. Was not. That said, if like Dead and Co were playing there and they were doing, they didn't change shit enough. I thought that the production would be a lot cooler. The production wasn't blowing my mind.
I mean, I thought that the production, in terms of the graphics, was really good, and it was certainly much better. Like the Sphere elevated the NHL draft beyond anything that I could imagine the NHL draft being.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm saying I think the ceiling on the NHL draft experience is quite capped. I want to go to a different event, like a concert. I really want to see Dead and Co at the Sphere. I think that would be like a religious experience. As somebody who's not even the biggest Dead and Co fan, but like just knowing and seeing some of the videos that have come out of that, and seeing what the Sphere is capable of from a technological standpoint, I was in awe of like the graphics, how clear things were, just the graphic packages, and the whole like scene of it all, and the whole spectacle of it all.
I also do think that honestly, the Sphere may have played better for TV than it did in real life, because they were doing a lot of shots of the outside of the Sphere when certain things were happening. So like we didn't see a lot of the cool things that they were doing because they were on the outside of the Sphere. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I also think that saying that the Sphere plays better on TV is a crazy thing to say.
I didn't. I said I think that it played better for that because they were doing things on the outside of it that we weren't seeing. So like the shit that looked insane, we didn't see necessarily. I don't know. Like I don't want to say it was IMAX, but for what we saw, it wasn't a mind-blowing experience for me. Sean?
I think you're severely underselling it. It's kind of crazy. That was like a pretty. It was like a one of a kind experience. Even if it was, no one gives a shit about the NHL draft. That in and of itself is boring. But fucking Celine Dion was on stage at a point, which alone makes it crazy. And then but the actual sphere itself, like I was mesmerized by it. It was ridiculous.
Okay, so I'm glad that like I'm like a little validated here. Like I don't want to feel like I was kind of duped.
No, I bet the sphere is incredible. We didn't see the best. We didn't see it at its best.
No, but like I'm just saying,
we still saw it pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is that for what we got to see and how cool the sphere made it, the sphere is fucking awesome. Like it is a very cool venue, and if something that I was really really interested in terms of like a musical artist or whatever was playing at the sphere, knowing how much that venue can elevate the experience, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Panthers had their Stanley Cup Parade. It was a bit rainy, but it still looked sick as hell. And gotta say, those boys knew how to do it. Paul Maurice wearing a shirt that his daughter made for him with his two cats on it. That must have tugged at Sean's heartstrings. It all seemed great. Aaron Ekblad said, "Fuck you, Brooks Koepka." That's basically my thoughts on golf. I just don't know anything about it. So when people say, "Hey, you want to go golfing?" I say, "Fuck you, Brooks Koepka." Woo! And I thought that all the parade looked amazing. Yeah, Kachuk took a little shot at Edmonton and said, "Hey, they have better weather, but they don't have a cup." Is it lame? Yeah, but like those are the jokes you make when you win the cup. So no harm, no foul.
Yeah, it was a bit low hanging fruit. But like Ryan Lomberg killed it. He's gone to Calgary since, but like he was the parade all-star or like the celebration all-star, I think. I don't think he wore a shirt one time. He's jacked. Shout out to him. It's a bummer that it was so rainy because that led to all the jokes about fucking the turnout, and like I don't blame anybody for not wanting to go stand in the rain for the parade, but it still looked like a good time. I'm happy that the Panthers got there. Honestly, like the parade seemed like the most tame that they were in like the 5 days after they won the Stanley Cup. Those boys were going nuts.
Yeah. I like the. Was it after the parade they brought it into the ocean?
Yes. They also brought it into the ocean, right? Like the day after
they did the next
won,
day.
too.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of rust on that thing, but whatever. Congratulations to the victors. Anything else before we sign off until tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Do we want to talk about Fanatics?
Yeah, we could save it for tomorrow, but I'm cool to we could talk about it now. On Friday we spent a large chunk of the day in Vegas with Fanatics, and it included us seeing all of the new jerseys, the authentic pros that they have made for the NHL, and it also included a long meeting with Michael Rubin. Pete's better at Twitter than me, so he did not tweet our impressions. I did tweet our impressions, which were that a good impression was made. I said before all this, I'm rooting for Fanatics to do this thing right. I do not want them to fuck this thing up. But we had this meeting with them, and we were looking at all the jerseys. Michael Rubin came in, and everyone was talking to each other, and Michael Rubin was just like standing by himself. And even though I didn't feel so hot, I was like, fuck, if Michael Rubin's going to be here, I just went over to him and started fucking talking to him. And then they did he did like a ask or say anything you want. And it was us. It was some of the CHGO guys. It was, I believe, Pete, you said some just like specific fans. It seemed that they just gathered a group of people who either care a lot about jerseys, or possibly had just like been critical of Fanatics, and they wanted to have this kind of like forum. Is that a good
Yeah,
way of putting it?
yeah, it was sort of like a town hall type thing with Fanatics, and yeah, I was impressed by how open and honest they were. Like Michael Rubin openly said, a lot of our products have sucked. The Stanley Cup hats that we put out on the ice this year in the celebration, not good enough. Horrible product. So, like, I was impressed with the honesty. I was impressed with them even inviting us and being completely open to taking whatever questions we had, sort of no holds barred. Yeah, I thought that it was a good event. I didn't go and immediately tweet like, "Hey, I'm super impressed by Fanatics," but just because you can say all those things, you need to follow through on it. Like, you
Oh
need
no, no.
to.
What I tweeted was exactly what you said, though. Don't act
No,
like
I no no
okay.
no. I know, but I know that like that putting that out there does nothing for anybody who wasn't in the room. Like, because
Yeah.
it's just they're that's going to be the reaction. So they can say whatever they want. Like snake oil salesman gonna snake oil salesman, show me the results, show me the product. And I think the true test for Fanatics, a company that has such a bad reputation, is not going to be changed overnight. It's gonna come over time, and the true test for them with regards to the NHL is going to be once they move away from like the Adidas shell that was already left for them, and once they start doing their own type of design things, and when it comes to like apparel. Their apparel game has been so bad. So I'm not necessarily as worried about the jerseys as I am like they need a ton of improvement in terms of apparel. But like they're saying a lot of the right things, they're doing a lot of the right things. They're hiring a lot of the right people. The people that we talked to at the Fanatics event, I was very encouraged. Dom, one of their designers, who was in charge of like the reverse retros, who like he founded the reverse retro program, I believe. He did the All-Star jerseys. He designed the first two things that he's done for Fanatics is design the Ducks jersey and the Kings jersey. We saw both of those up close over the weekend. Both of those jerseys rock,
Hey. Yeah.
and the closer you get to them, the more impressive they are. So I have a lot of encouraging signs and feelings about Fanatics and where they're heading. They obviously need to follow through, and they need to do. They need to fulfill a lot of these promises that they're making. But I give them credit for opening themselves up to criticism. I give them credit for inviting us in. I give them credit for listening to us and like genuinely taking constructive criticism.
Yeah. When when they opened up the floor for questions, uh, there was like a brief pause, and I was like, I assumed we were all just going to be like yelling shit. So I was like, we're in a room full of these authentic pro jerseys, which is the ones that the players are going to wear, and they're outstanding, of course, because these are the ones that the players are going to wear that have the players' specifications and all these things. And they made the forearms thicker and like took all of the design recommendations from players. But these aren't the ones that we're going to be buying, most likely. It's going to be, I think they said like less than 5% of jersey sales are going to be those ones. So, like, what about the rest of the ones? And what about the quality control there? Because as long as you guys are making things, people are going to question the quality control. And of all there were three guys up there, and Rubin was the only one. Not to say that the other two guys weren't like helpful and gave like good and thoughtful answers, but Rubin of the three seemed to most be like, hey, I take all of this shit, even if it's like we get dunked on daily on the internet, and even if some of them are erroneous, I don't care if some of them are erroneous. Like, we're getting dunked on, and it's because we've made a lot of bad things. And he specifically like went through which things have been good, which things have been bad. We agreed that like they're not an issue. We don't have an issue with the breakaway jerseys, at least in our experience. But like t-shirts have been horrible. Hats have been horrible, which is spellbinding to me because it seems that everybody makes a good hat. But Fanatics, for some reason, has struggled to do it. But he was not he didn't seem to be doing lip service. He was and again, the proof will be in the pudding, but he seemed to be taking this seriously. And I respect that he let a bunch of strangers basically come in and bombard him with questions about things that most owners would probably want to be a little more defensive about. And he wasn't really defensive. He was it's kind of a lame thing, but it was one of the things I wrote down, which is that he was like, we're a big company, but like I want us to be a good company, a beloved company. So I'll fucking take him at his word there, and we'll see. The proof's in the pudding, but it went way better than I could have expected. Just given what the online reputation is of that company.
Yeah, and there was like a lot of talk about how many products they move, how many products they sell, the scale of it all. And yeah, that's well and good, but like that's also I think part of the problem is the scale is so big that it's hard for them to keep the quality control, and they need to do a much better job of getting their quality control down and not necessarily caring about how many units they move versus how good the quality of the units they move are. And one of the questions that I asked Michael Rubin was like, how important is it, like the culture aspect of the NHL? Because the NHL currently is like probably the fourth coolest sport in North America in terms of just like general perception. And that's something that seemed to like set off a light in his head. And he was like, oh yeah, we are going to be focusing on like culture quite a bit. And obviously he is an extremely well-connected guy with a lot of people in pop culture and general culture. So I would say get ready to see a lot more NHL jerseys around that kind of scene. But I'm a little nervous about where like the like the bridge between traditionalism and like being cool in today's culture might find itself in the NHL, if that makes any sense.
The thing I respected most about Michael Rubin is that I said piss jersey and he knew what it meant.
Yes. There were a lot of people in the room that did not know what you meant when you said that. And
you did. We were on different side of the room, so it like I couldn't lose there because like you were gonna know. We respect to him for that at least. But yeah, truly, I don't know if I were just starting out making jerseys for this important league and its fans had their knives sharpened that hard. I could see why there's benefit in having something like that, but I don't know. I could also see them being too scared to do that because, again, not to say that we were like threatening them or anything, but we were going beyond the basic, like, what will you need to do a better job of? It was more like, hey, why is this thing always bad? And why has this thing happened repeatedly? So
they also gave us some product, and the product that they gave us was like very good quality, it seemed. And it was,
well, now we sound like chills.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna say, like, obviously they're going to give us good product if they're inviting us in, like their biggest criticizers or whatever. They're going to give us good product.
Yeah,
critics.
They
that I was looking for.
they've got a Canadian line, which is interesting. And it's basically, to me, it seems like it's hockey stuff that is thick.
Dude, the t-shirt that they gave us, I thought it was a crew neck sweatshirt when it was folded up because it has that sort of thickness in the material. And then I opened it up and I was like, oh, this is just a fucking t-shirt. It is a like crew neck
It's a short sleeve
t-shirt.
sweatshirt. It is a short sleeve sweatshirt.
And I made fun of you for saying that because I was like, you're just describing a t-shirt, but you're right in that it's a t-shirt with like a sweatshirt quality to it.
Yeah, so I don't know, at least again, like who knows? Maybe this ends up being a shit show, maybe it doesn't. But that's of more quality than because we were saying things like this to them, like I'll see a product in the store and like the sweatshirts that the players wore in the dressing rooms this year. I loved that sweatshirt, but I never bought it because I just didn't know how many washes I'd be able to get out of it. I just didn't know what the quality of it would be. These things, the Canadian ones, you're like, okay, this fucking thing's never going to die. Is it overcompensating? Maybe, but I at least see, and maybe this is by design to trick dummies like us, but I see more of an effort and more of a quality than I expected so far. But I will again caution on the jerseys that we saw that those jerseys were going to be better than anything we'd ever seen anyway, no matter what, because those are a higher line than even the Authentics that we buy, because the Adidas Authentics aren't actually the ones the players wear. The jerseys that we saw are the ones that the players wear. So there's some salt to be taken with it, but overall, very, like, I would not have traded that day. That was a very useful, productive, interesting, intriguing day. I like that we have a line to them, seemingly, if there's good or bad things going down, because you especially, you love more of the intricacies of the jerseys than I do, but like I think that if they're trying to do this right, they should be in touch with the voices, as they say.
Yeah, I like that they're listening, and I like that they're open to criticism, however harsh or strong it may be, because it does seem like they want to fix their reputation. It does seem like they want to do this right. Doesn't mean they will, but it seems like they're trying.
Yeah. So that's our little political, I hope for the sake of the country, they're a good president thing on Fanatics. We will hopefully, we will have a normal episode tomorrow. Will we both be dead still, maybe, or will I be dead still? Who knows? But thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We all silly like the mayor.